Funny story. Becca's cousin
showed up here.
She texted Becca at like 10:40, 10:50. Was like, "Hey, save me a seat. I'm on my way. Save me a seat." And
see, that's. I mean, I feel bad for you. I'm sure people showed up here on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
But you know, we did our best to communicate.
We did.
I think it's funny. Just you can put information everywhere, and there are still people who won't see it.
Yeah.
And that's wild.
Right.
Yeah. Welcome to The Gathering Greenhouse, a podcast to help us grow together. I'm Steve.
I can't figure out what camera to look at.
Middle one.
That one? That's yours.
No.
That one.
The
That's
wide.
me.
So it goes David.
So it's that one.
Steve,
is the wide one.
Oh, that's the wide one over there.
Jon.
It's always a small lens, the smaller lens.
I'm David.
Oh, I'm Jon.
Should we start? Do we do it again?
Sure.
I think we got it. We got it. We're good.
Okay. So welcome back, David.
Thank you, Steve.
Can we just real briefly talk about Sunday real quick? I know that wasn't in the questions.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we all...
Let's just have the people who were there talk about it, though.
Okay. We're not looking at anyone particular.
I will say I was told the last day I was in the office that David was in the office. He said, "Might as well take the day off if you can."
I think that's true.
So
Yeah.
as they're
No,
glaring.
I did. I wanted Sunday to be a day of rest for our staff team because they work hard, and fall is going to be really, really crazy and busy. And
Yeah.
so-
Why? There's nothing happening. It's
Oh.
Are you
There's
going to
nothing
ever
going
tell
on.
us about why it's going to be so busy?
Yeah, next Sunday. Or
Next Sunday,
No,
okay.
no, not next Sunday. Next Monday.
Next Monday.
All
okay.
staff meeting next Monday.
We're going to find out.
Oh, have I got a presentation for you guys?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got my PowerPoint running.
Is this about
Gonna-
another service?
We're gonna have like transitions zipping in,
Okay.
lyrics flipping and flopping up on the screens. Did you guys ever in church have like when we first
crazy
started,
transitions.
I'm going to say this. When we
Yeah.
first started doing slides, like, I don't know if you remember pre-slides, but like the guy who made the slides discovered the animations in
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like we're trying to sing these hymns and the words are
We-
flipping around.
we had
and
the,
spinning, and it's like, no.
We had the
no.
one, and it was always like where it zooms in and then zooms out.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
You're singing some like really like heartfelt like
Right, and
slow
I'll-
song and whoosh.
Or inevitably,
Whoosh.
back then, we didn't have the same technology that we do now, but inevitably they would forget to turn off the sound because those
Oh.
effects all came with sound. Like you'd be in the middle of a song like.
Would it really?
So, all right, sorry.
Okay.
What were you saying, Steve?
Yeah. This past Sunday, we all did not meet
Yeah,
at
I'm really
the
curious.
gathering.
Why didn't you guys come to church Sunday?
Yeah, John was here.
It was like the lowest attended Sunday we've ever had here. I was here.
I bet it was really low attended.
Funny story. Becca's cousin
Showed up here.
She texted Becca at like 10:40, 10:50. Was like, "Hey, save me a seat. I'm on my way. Save me a seat." And
See, that's. I mean, I feel bad for you. I'm sure people showed up here on Sunday.
yeah.
But we did our best to communicate.
We did.
I think it's funny. Just you can put information everywhere, and there are still people who won't see it.
Yeah.
And that's wild.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sunday.
Yeah.
So you ordered how many donuts, Steve?
A little over 700. So basically, we ordered 59 dozen.
59 dozen donuts.
Yeah.
And every single one of them was taken.
Everyone was.
That's
gone.
the stat of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single one. We had 1,000 bottles of water.
1,000 bottles of water.
Every single one was taken.
Yeah.
And we had good coffee. Did you get a coffee?
Oh no, I did not. But I don't get coffee. I get coffee at home. So
Right. So they had
I don't get a
Tom.
I
Is it
saw
Tom's
that.
coffee?
I was like, wow, this is
the
this is
coffee
brilliant.
trucks?
Whoever thought of
Yeah.
that? That was a good idea.
And I'd never had it before.
Yeah.
Uh,
They had 2 trucks. Why did they have 2 trucks?
Because they knew there'd be like a
Lot of-
rush.
A rush. Okay.
Yeah, when people were arriving. And I'm going to tell you, it was good coffee.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had 2 Americanos.
One was not enough. No, so I don't know what time you showed up there, but I came with my family because I never get to do that.
Right.
And I showed up 10 minutes before because I never get to do that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I could have actually probably showed up early because that's really what I wanted to do.
Yeah, but it's fun to live like the other side.
It is. And I got to experience what it was like to show up 10 minutes before, and there was like a line of traffic down the street to get in, but it went quick. I will say, even though we probably showed up at one of the busiest times,
so
it was
all
not
the
that
churches
hard.
that were there, which church was handling the traffic or the parking?
Our church was handling the parking.
Oh, the Gathering parking team. Yeah,
The
props
Gathering?
to the Gathering parking team.
They were like dripping in sweat. I felt for them.
So
and
hot.
Kirk is a pro at that.
Yeah, they did
a
great
if
job.
If he couldn't do it, no one was going to do it because
Pro at sweating.
what?
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 He did they did a masterful job getting people in and out. So,
Yeah.
we're very proud of our parking team.
Yeah.
But our donut team was great too. Mm-hmm. Our water team was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool that it was our church was doing kind of all the service type stuff, and I'm happy about that.
One comment I may have is they had a lot, which was cool to see the people in like the one church shirts around, but they were kind of all just together. Like they probably should have had more people out in the parking lot where people were walking in to help.
Not our department, though.
Right, it wasn't our department, but
Did
that's
you feel
where
bad
I would
that
put
you
those
didn't have
people.
one of those shirts? Because I got one.
No, I did not feel bad about
I didn't wear mine.
I didn't feel bad about it.
Okay.
But
all right. I'll give you mine if you want. It's a large, though.
I thought the service was great.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. Yeah. So if you don't know what we're talking about,
You can't go back and see it, so sorry.
yeah, I don't think. I mean, if you go on Facebook, it's lots of people post about it. But it's we had this big one church kind of thing where all the bunch of churches from Centerville got together at the high school, and really, I mean, pretty much filled the home stand.
Pretty much, it was very full.
So the facilities, people say that side seats 5,000 at full capacity.
Oh, really?
So we were estimating we were at about 80% capacity.
Oh, wow.
So probably 3,500 to 4,000 people.
Yeah,
Best
that's.
guess.
I was wondering about that because I floated around. My family was asking me, and I thought, well, maybe like
Try to
2,000. No, I did not try that. I mean, I would have had to go on the field to try to count. I wasn't going to distract everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have loved to have got some kind of count, but more than I thought because I thought maybe 2,000. But
So-
there were so many cars. I mean, it was insane the amount of cars that were there. So
Yeah.
I guess that should have led me to believe there's more than a couple thousand people there.
Yeah. I don't know. So it was a fun time. Good
Yeah.
time. A little warm.
Very warm.
A little warm. I didn't realize that you faced right into the sun
Yeah.
in those bleachers. I think the only other time I've been at that was for a soccer game, and it was cloudy and cold and it was the winter.
Which for like a Friday afternoon, evening
For
football
Friday
game's
evening,
perfect.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
So in the evening, the sun is shining onto the visitor side.
right at
Yeah,
the
that's
bad
right, what
guys.
you
But
want.
that's pretty much every high school stadium in America is built that way.
Yeah.
Get them.
That it's the visitors that have to look into the sun and that have the sun.
Well,
beating
it's
down
like what
on
they
them.
say. Sunlight is the best. What is it, cleaner? What's the word they say?
No, that was Trump. Listen,
No, that was bleach.
Bleach.
well, he actually
Disinfect it. Sunlight
he
is the
actually
best
was talking
disinfectant.
about sunlight, but
It wouldn't be cool if there was something like that.
all right.
Well, should we get into some questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have a few questions for you today. The first one is, it's a little bit fun one, which is, do you have a fantasy football team, and who is your best player?
Yeah, do
that
you?
have? I don't do that kind of fantasy. I like the one where you pick who's going to win, which teams are going to win.
Like a pick'ems.
Pick'ems, exactly, because there's not. You don't have to really work too hard each week on it. When you have players,
I thought you were a
I thought the one
hyperachiever.
we did last year was good.
That was a pick'em.
that was
wasn't it?
Pick'em, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just not in it. I just don't have the attention span to do that.
I like
Or-
survivor pools too. I think those are
Okay.
fun. Where you pick one team every week, and if your team loses, you're out.
That would be fun. I
It
could
is.
get into that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. We'll see if we can get one set up.
Okay. We need to do that soon.
I feel like
Because
right.
it
Season
starts Thursday.
I feel like all the teams that are commonly rooted for around here are all in a way fantasy teams. Like we fantasize about having winning
Winning.
seasons and
Right,
going to the
that's true.
playoffs. And
I don't know. The teams around here now are
They're getting
fairly
better.
fairly
They're getting better.
consistently good now.
So all right, so
Even
you're
Detroit. is
you're
gonna-
a you're a
Browns.
Browns
Yeah.
guy.
yeah.
You're a
Bengals.
Bengals-ish guy.
I'm a new convert.
Used to be a Rams guy.
Used to be a St. Louis Rams fan.
Right.
Now they're dead to me.
You should go for the Vegas
so-
team.
Yeah.
I've thought so. When you grow up in the middle of nowhere, you're like the closest team is 6 hours away,
Yeah.
and unless it's in your state, there's not really a good tie. So like a lot of times you just pick random cities, and you're like, I'm committed to that. So I couldn't be a Chiefs fan, so.
So I was for a long time in the dark days of the Lions. I mean, there have been a lot of those, but I was a big Broncos fan. I love the Broncos.
So I know a ton of Broncos fans who are not anywhere close to, like, they just.
Yeah, I think part of that was John Elway was just a really compelling guy. That was the reason I got into the Broncos. I loved John Elway.
You think the same thing is true with Burrow?
No. He's not to say he's not like.
The Cincinnati fans think so, though.
But they were already fans.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not really done anything yet. I mean, he's gotten to the Super Bowl, which was great.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it used to be so much that, like, guys like John Elway were like such a like iconic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like there are so many really hyper talented quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's less of this like, oh, they're just amazing. You know, it's very competitive, and you know, it's you know, most recently, you know, you have guys like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, like
Aaron Rodgers.
But the problem with Aaron Rodgers is
he's not at the same level as those guys.
And well, he also like he has he's just got a different personality than like
he's weird.
He's weird. He's a weird.
He's weird. Yeah. Not like JD Vance. Weird.
I was gonna say
he's like actually weird.
He's weird enough to maybe be our vice president. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I think you have less of that now, and you know, because everybody is, I mean, for the most part, really talented.
So you haven't answered a question though.
Right. Well, so neither of you guys have fantasy teams.
Yeah, just the Bengals.
Yeah. Okay. So I do. I've been playing fantasy football for like 20 years or more.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that the game changes over time because as the NFL changes, how you play fantasy has to change. Like it used to be, if you had a running back, like that was a solid running back, that would carry your team.
Yeah.
And now running backs are worthless. And you want to have
because they're not getting the yards they used to.
They don't. Well, so what's happened is because the NFL has protected quarterbacks so much that they can, like back in the day, if a quarterback completed 50-60% of his passes, that was really good.
Yeah.
Now they're expected to complete over 70% because they're so protected.
So pressure,
it's really your wide receivers are where you get your points, and then there's just like a couple of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
so if you have a running back, he can still catch it and get points, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of the running backs are like combos now. They're like
and that's back in the day. That's what you wanted, like a Marshall Faulk or a guy like that who just get like Barry Sanders was not a great fantasy running back. He get ton of yards, but they rarely threw the ball to him, and he never scored touchdowns. He only scored touchdowns if he was 60 yards away. But anytime they got inside the 10, they pulled him out because they didn't want him to get hurt.
Okay.
But so I've got a team. I actually like my team this year.
Is Joe Burrow your best player?
No. My quarterback's Jalen Hurts. It's a pretty good quarterback.
That's good. Yeah, it's a good one.
I got Tyreek Hill, so I'm excited about that. We'll see. I got some good players.
So you're not going to answer who your best player is?
Oh, it's probably Jalen Hurts as long as he stays healthy. Yeah, he'll give me the most points.
Okay.
And then hopefully
was he first round?
No, he's third round.
Oh. Your best player you got in the third round. That doesn't make sense.
Most people don't draft quarterbacks early. So this draft that I went into, what I did is I was going to take.
Not going for the most points. Why are you?
It's a value proposition.
Okay.
So. Right, I'm gonna completely lose everybody here.
Okay,
but here's
I got my next question ready.
All right, let's go. Let's just go.
All right. So this is probably. I don't know if this is the most important question that I have, but. This is an important question here. So we're starting a new sermon series on Sunday, which we're going to talk about. But we didn't finish Romans.
I don't like these chairs.
They are.
They're slouchy.
They do make you sit kind of weird.
I want more like honest. The ones like the one you found that's out there. That's like very like.
Yeah.
Like the brown one. That's a really nice chair. We should get those.
We just have to scour all the garage
sales. Can we find out where it's from?
Yeah, it says on the bottom. It may not exist anymore, but.
Yeah, but that's what eBay is
I was
for.
right in the middle of my question here. So we didn't get to finish our Roman series.
No.
Right?
Well, you know Rome wasn't built in a day, Steve.
It was not built in a day, but I don't think that they stopped building it. And let's go to this other city. We're going to build this one for a while. We'll come back in a couple weeks, and we'll start building this one again.
Vandals! Sorry.
This is a funny thing, is that right before the podcast, you and I talked real quick about this question.
Yeah.
And I was like, now this is the one we got to make sure we get to.
We got to make sure.
And you're over here trying hard.
I'm trying to finish it.
And then John and I aren't letting you.
So what about
Wait, you got to start the whole question again.
So we have been in the series of Romans. That's been our series, right? And it's been good so far here. We don't know what the rest of it's going to be like, but
really
so far so good.
Right.
But we haven't got to finish it because we're starting a new sermon series on Sunday. So there must be a reason why we're pausing a Roman sermon series to do something else. So what about chapters 12 through 16?
Yeah,
Are we going to do it again? Are we done with the series?
Good question. So 12 through 16 we didn't get to.
Yeah.
That's what's next. And fun fact, chapter 12 begins with the word therefore.
Therefore.
Right? And
so therefore.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But all right, so we'll go back to football for a second. You guys know what a turducken is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wait.
A turducken is, so this is John Madden. Remember John Madden?
Yeah.
On Thanksgiving,
Turkey duck.
he would always talk about his turducken. And when he was the broadcaster, you know how they do the turkey legs at the end of the Thanksgiving Day game, like the players of the game get a turkey leg.
Yeah.
Well, John Madden used to have a turducken made. And what a turducken is it's a turkey that's been stuffed with a duck. But the duck has been stuffed with a chicken. So it's a chicken and a duck and a turkey. And you got all this, just the juices of all the meat combining. And according to John Madden,
sounds like quite the abomination.
It was, I don't know. But
can you imagine if that was a real animal? And it's like
a turducken?
It's a turkey, chicken, duck thing.
I feel like maybe we could do that. I think that's possible.
So where I'm going with this is that the turducken was a bird and a bird and a bird.
Yeah.
Okay? And so our next sermon series is elephants, donkeys, sheep, and the lamb.
And a turducken.
Elephant, donkey, sheep, lamb,
and turducken.
Okay.
You just said a list of animals and how they were cooked inside of each other, and now you just made a second list of animals. I don't want to assume what's happening.
Are we allowed to eat
also
elephants?
go from largest to smallest?
You could probably eat a donkey. Without much trouble.
So I would totally eat an elephant that's stuffed with a donkey that's stuffed with a lamb.
That does not sound good.
I'll try anything.
I like mutton. All right. Anyway, okay. So here's what I'm going somewhere with all of this.
Okay.
But we got way detoured. So the next sermon series is going to be a little bit like a turducken.
Okay.
That the series itself is this series about how do Christians in America engage in politics in a divisive election year. That's the main idea of the sermon series. But this sermon series is going to be stuffed with Romans 12 through 16.
Okay, so we're covering Romans 12 through 16.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. Now we won't.
So we're not going back to Romans.
No. So here's what's going to happen. So Romans.
Are you going to mention that on Sunday?
What's a surprise?
But is a surprise going to be mentioned?
All three of you know.
Like, are you going to say that? Hey, we're going to be covering Romans while we're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Because I think that's subtle enough that people would not pick up on it.
Yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit. So Romans 12 through 16 is the application part of Romans 1 through 11. That's why it starts with the word therefore. But what we're going to do is we're going to take those application points from those chapters and use them as a little bit of a springboard, but also where they fit with the elephants, donkeys, sheep, and the lamb series. So now it won't all be completely in order, because actually this first week will just be zeroed in on Romans 12 too, and then also week 2 of the series will be zeroed in on the same verse, just a different phrase of it.
Okay,
because they're really helpful for us.
Is this a coincidence or is this intentional?
Not. So it's a mix of the two.
Okay.
So there's a third factor that comes into it, which is that in October, we're doing this series called More Than Able.
Right.
That's the one that wasn't originally on the sermon calendar. Originally, elephants, donkeys, sheep, and the lamb was later to get us closer to election time, which would have allowed us to run Romans right up to that. And then I was going to flip-flop the two, but now we're doing it this way. But as I was doing my preparation, I realized how many times as I was preparing for this series, I found myself in Romans 12 through 16.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this makes sense to just say, hey, let's just use this as our springboard for the series.
Right.
So kind of fun. Never done a turducken series before.
Okay. Can we ask another question about
turduckens?
Well, actually, let's go on because I think this. So essentially, we're covering it.
Very greasy. So I'm very curious about how that would cook inside of a turkey.
I don't know. I think John Madden's dead.
So
this too many turduckens.
So just to sum up the last question before
I'm
we
guessing
go on.
that like if you went on YouTube and just YouTube turducken, there'd be a lot of stuff about it. Yeah.
But to sum it up is that we are continuing we are finishing Romans, but we're finishing it in the light of this series that has to do with a political time in our.
We'll be using the truths and the principles from Romans 12 through 16 to inform us as we study politics in America in 2024.
Okay, so this leads us perfectly into the next question, which is. I'm gonna look at my notes here so I get it right.
Which is, who are you voting for?
Do you think it's a good idea to preach about political issues? Is that a good idea?
Yes, I think it is.
I think it depends on who's preaching and what you're preaching. Like that's the
so explain that a little bit.
So so I think political issues are just issues.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that we stay out of politics at the gathering, or would you say that we don't, or does it depend?
So what I would say is that we stay out of voting.
Okay.
We very rarely say to people, you have to do this. Now there are some, like we would say, you ought to do things. Like you ought to put your faith in Christ.
Yeah.
But we're not going to burn you at the stake if you don't. We don't do that. We're not trying to convert people at the tip of the sword.
Yeah.
So just as we wouldn't say to someone, you have to give your life to Jesus, you're not welcome here anymore. We would never say that.
Yeah.
We also don't say things like you have to vote Democrat or you're not welcome here, or you have to vote Republican, or you have to vote for this amendment or this representative or whatever. We just don't do that.
Yeah.
But politics is about practical issues that we deal with on a regular basis. Yeah. Things like how do we treat other people?
Okay. So to take it, so we wouldn't tell someone how to vote, but would you or would the church say this is the appropriate person to vote for?
I will not do that.
Yeah. So that's would you put that in the same category as obviously you could still have the stance of we're not going to tell people what to do, but we're going to say how someone should do it. And you could still be welcome here if you don't do it.
Right. So here we're going to do three things in this series that I think are going to be really helpful for people. So on Sunday mornings in the sermons are really going to be targeted towards saying, as a subject of the kingdom of God, how do you engage in a world where people are not subject to the kingdom of God, right? Mm-hmm. So you're someone who's a subject of one kingdom, living in another kingdom. How do you engage that kingdom? That's what Sunday morning is going to be all about. So it's really going to be about, how do I think about politics? How do I talk about politics? What's my attitude towards other people? How do I treat other people? And ultimately, we'll get to the big question of how do I vote? I'm not going to tell you how to vote, but I'm going to tell you here's what you should do. And I'll give it away right now. Yeah. Use your vote to do as much good as possible for as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to back that up biblically. I'm going to walk through several passages to show why that's my conclusion. Yeah. That's Sunday mornings. We're going to do a deep dive about halfway through the series where we're going to touch on a whole bunch of hot button topics in America right now. So we'll talk about immigration. We'll talk about education. We'll talk about, how do we take care of the poor? We'll talk about law and order, all these kinds of topics. Yeah. And I'm going to walk through in those really specific topics. I'm going to say, look, I'm not going to tell you how to vote or who to vote for, but I'm going to tell you what the Bible says about these issues, right? Yeah. So when we come to the economy.
So is that to frame people in the sense of how can I use my vote to do the most good?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, in a lot of times,
just saying use your vote to do the most good, well, what are we basing that on? What good?
Well, here's how you define
how we defining good.
Yep. So, for example, when we talk about the economy, newsflash, the Bible is not capitalist and the Bible is not communist. It's something different. And so we're actually going to talk about God's economic structure as revealed to us in Scripture and how we do that. So that'll be at the deep dive. Then the third thing that we're going to do in this series is we're going to be releasing a series of videos where I'm going to talk about more of these hot button issues and kind of walk through. Here's what a Christian should be thinking about in terms of this issue. And the first one we release, and I don't know if we'll release it this week or next, so we haven't shot it yet. Is I'm gonna actually give a template for as you think about how to vote, and we're gonna specifically talk about the presidential election. Like, how does a Christian vote in a presidential election when neither candidate reflects their values? And here, spoiler alert again. Neither candidate reflects the values of Christians.
Right.
Neither one does. So how do we do that?
Yeah. So then, is it when we go into a series like this, because we did one before 4 years ago? Is the goal of this series, like, are we, when you say, hey, is it a good idea to do this? So why is it a good idea? Is that because these are just things that we should be talking about instead of just saying nothing, like staying silent? Or is it because we think that people are, often entering these conversations the wrong way? Or do we believe that, there's actually like wisdom that we're trying to teach people? So like, where can you tell us a little bit of like, why is it a good idea to have a sermon series?
So at one level, it's a discipleship issue, right? We want to disciple people well. We want to help people be more like Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think in a season like this, and if you
is that the main goal?
That's a goal.
Wait,
I think it's a layered thing. I don't think there's like one. I think there's two big ones. I'll get to this other one in a minute.
Yeah.
So on the discipleship issue, though, I think there are a lot of people who lose their identity over politics. Like they just don't look like Jesus. And I want to, in one way, just call people to that, to say, hey, look, the way you're talking, the way you're treating others, the way you're thinking about this, you don't look like Jesus.
Yeah.
So let's look like Jesus. That's one thing, one reason. The other reason is, and we'll hit this on Sunday, this coming Sunday, we are called to be salt and light. And it's, at the end of the day, being salt and light means we live for the flourishing of our society. That's a topic we'll cover later down in the series, is the flourishing of society. But we are called to be salt and light. And this is a salt and light issue. We have an incredible opportunity in America that most people in the history of the world have not experienced, which is that we get to shape the direction of our country. And so we ought to take advantage of that. And if we can shape the direction of our country in a way that is salty, in a way that is lit, then we should do that.
Okay, great. So the thing that I see as, bigger issues in here, maybe we'll address it in it, is that oftentimes, like, we live in a world right now where news is very one-sided. So it's very easy to just listen to the news that continues to feed the views that you have, and you never hear the other point of view.
Yep.
So is that part of the problem? And then social media is the same way. On that, and that we've come to a point where we can't disagree with each other and move on with our lives, right?
Yep.
We think that they are always wrong and we are always right, and it doesn't matter what the other side says, no matter if you're, Democrat or Republican.
Yeah. So 4 years ago, this was a 4-week series.
Yeah.
This time it's a 6-week series. And one of the new additions is week 2, which is going to be all about discernment. And how do we discern what is true?
That would be really good.
And so, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Surprise, it'll be rooted in Proverbs.
Okay, I mean, there is no better place to look, honestly. Right. I mean, because in Proverbs, it doesn't, it's sometimes it's a message where it's challenging. You're challenging yourself because you have viewed something a certain way, and you kind of introspective tone to a lot of stuff in Proverbs.
Yep. So that'll be on September 15th.
Yeah.
And I bet you can't guess which chapter in Proverbs
Wait, you said what? December?
It's September 15th.
Oh, September. Okay,
so what chapter in Proverbs will we be looking at?
15.
You bet. Yeah.
Always works out. No, 2.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's all I got. Any other final comments here?
Nope.
It's your chance.
No.
Okay.
All right. I think that was enough.
Well, thanks for spending some time with us, and until we see you all again, have a great rest of your day. Are they playing?
No, but
Thursday?
they will.
No, because it's the Chiefs and the.
Yeah, but just go Lions.
Okay,
go Lions.
All right.
Yeah, you said it too. Good job.
Go Lions.
They're playing the Rams.
Go Lions.